Hi boys and girls, Mrs. Allen here with today's math lesson. Today we're going to be talking about Module 8, Lessons 13 and 14. In this lesson, you will learn to tell time to the half hour, quarter hour, and the nearest 5 minutes. So let's take a look at this clock. First, what we're going to do is we're going to review. Remember that the minute hand is the longer hand, and I'm going to put my minute hand right here on the 12. And my hour hand is the shorter hand. I'm going to put that one on the 1. So you can see right now my clock is showing 1 o'clock. This is how I would write that. Okay, 1 o'clock. So when the minute hand is at the 12, it is the start of a new hour. And when the minute hand goes all the way around the clock, that's 1 full hour. And 1 full hour is equal to 60 minutes. Now, when I moved my minute hand all the way around, you can see my hour hand moved from the 1 to the 2. So after 1 whole hour, it is now 2 o'clock. And we would write that like this. Okay, so now let's think of our clock like fractions. Okay, so I have this clock over here. I'm going to divide it in half vertically down the clock. So if you think of this like a circle, I just split our circle in half. So if I were to go halfway around my circle, I would land on the number 6. So I'm going to put my hour hand back at 1 here. And I'm going to move my minute hand. And you can see my hour hand slowly moving as my minute hand moves around. And now you can see that my minute hand is on the 6. So I moved halfway around the clock. So when we're talking about time, since my hour hand was on the 1 and now it's halfway between the 1 and the 2, we could say that it is 1/2 past 1. So when I write that, I would write 1/2 past 1, 1/2 past 1. Or we would write that as 1:30, like this. So now, what about this other half? What happens when I take it all the way around? That was the full 60 minutes, and we're back to 2 o'clock. So now I'm going to split the clock in half again, but this time I'm going to do it horizontally. So now you can see this circle here is divided into fourths. So if I go back to my clock again, and let's start at 1 o'clock, and I just wanted to go 1/4 of the way around the clock, you can see that I land on the number 3. When I land on the number 3, let me move it over here. This is 1/4 or 1/4 of the way around the clock. So we would call this 1/4 past 1 because we started at 1 o'clock over here. So this would be 1/4 past 1 or 1:15. So you would write that like this, 1/4 past 1 or 1:15, like that. So you can see our 6 was 30 minutes and our 3 was 15. Now, what happens when I move my hand around another quarter? 1/4 and 2/4, well, that equals a half. So let's move 1 more quarter. So now I'm 1, 2, 3/4 or 3/4 of the way around the clock, and I am on the 9. Okay, the 9 represents 45 minutes. So when we're talking about going 3/4 of the way around the clock, we only have 1/4 left to get to 12. or back at the 12 at the new hour. So we call this quarter till. So it's quarter to 2. Because the new hour, if I were to move this hand, the new hour would be 2 o'clock. But we're not quite there yet. This hour hand is almost on the 2, but because it's still, the minute hand is pointing to this 9 and hasn't made it a full, the full way around the circle, we're still in the hour of the 1 o'clock. So we could say it's quarter to 2 or 1:45, because we still have one more quarter, 1/4 of the clock left to get to the new hour. So now let's take a look at the clock on this page. If you look closely at this clock right here, you can see there's little hash marks here. Each one of those represents 1 minute going around the clock for a total of 60 minutes, because like we said before, there are 60 minutes in an hour. We can skip count around the clock by 5s because each number on the clock represents 5 minutes. So if we start at the 12 with a 0 and we go around, we would say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60, we would be back at the 12. Remember, 60 minutes equals 1 whole hour. So now let's practice telling some time. I'm going to set this clock, the hour hand, remembers the shorter hand, on the 4. I'm going to put the minute hand on the 1. So you can see here, my clock is at, the hour hand's at 4, and then my minute hand is on the 1. Well, if I look over here at my 5-minute interval chart, I know the 1 represents 5 minutes, or 05. We would read this time as 4:05, or we could write it like this: 4:05, because it is 5 minutes past 4. So if I keep going and I move it to the 2, I would say 4:10, and again, you could write that like this: it is 10 minutes past 4, or 4:10. And then if I move it to the 3, which we talked about on the last slide, I would be a quarter of the way past the hour, 1/4 of the way past, so we call that quarter past 4, or you could write it like this: 4:15. So if we were to keep going around, I would have 4:20, 4:25, 4:30, or 4:30, 4:35, 4:40, 4:45, 4:50, 4:55, and then 5 more minutes to get to 5 o'clock. You'll notice when I'm at 4:55, my hour hand looks like it's already on the 5, but my minute hand tells me I still have 5 more minutes till that new hour. So again, going around the clock, you can count by 5s with each number on the clock. When we go a quarter of the way around, we can say quarter past. When we go halfway around, we can say half past. And when we go another quarter of the way around, we can say quarter to. All the way around would be the next new hour. So that's it for telling time today. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. And don't forget to complete your problem set and send a picture to your teacher for some feedback. Have a great day, everyone.